Well, there's one example where you really can frustrate a tribe if you provide information to another government, like a state or local government, and not share it with the tribe, because we are on equal footing, or maybe even above equal footing with the state and local authorities, governments. So when we have to go to the state to get information about your project, not a very good thing to start out as far as consultation. And that's happened to our tribe, where we've had state agencies provide us information the federal government would provide. So just the heads up that it's always good to you treat everybody equally.
Welcome to Module 3 of the course, Introduction to Tribal Consultations. By the end of this module, you will be able to outline the roles and responsibilities of agencies in conducting tribal consultations. In our last module, we covered the historic and legal underpinnings of tribal consultation, as well as the current executive policies and laws that require and provide guidance for conducting tribal consultations.
Now we will discuss the roles and responsibilities of agencies in conducting tribal consultations. The Presidential Memorandum on Uniform Standards for Tribal Consultation, which we discussed in Module 2, further outlines specific responsibilities that federal agencies have when conducting tribal consultations, including designating one or more agency points of contact for tribal consultation, determining when consultation is appropriate, and maintaining complete and accurate records of the consultation. We'll discuss the specifics of the tribal consultation process in Module 4, but let's turn our attention to the first responsibility, designating one or more agency points of contact for tribal consultation.
Each agency must designate a primary point of contact to advise agency staff on tribal consultation matters. The agency can designate additional points of contact or a specific office as needed, but the primary tribal consultation point of contact for each agency must be listed on the agency's website. In addition, that contact must be reported to the White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs and the White House Council on Native American Affairs.
The second agency requirement is to determine whether consultation is required or appropriate. The Presidential Memorandum on Uniform Standards for Tribal Consultation further directs each agency to complete an analysis of the policy or action as early as possible to determine whether consultation is required or appropriate. This analysis should occur regardless of whether a tribal government requests consultation. In determining whether an agency policy or action would require tribal consultation, Executive Order 13175, which we also covered in Module 2, states that tribal consultation is required when an agency is making rules, decisions, or comments on laws that may affect tribes, the federal-tribal relationship, or the distribution of power between the federal government and tribes.
Consultation is always appropriate if there is any question as to whether an agency policy or action will have a substantial direct effect or tribal implications, regardless of what shape the agency action ultimately takes. Consequently, if there is a reasonable basis to believe that a policy or action may have tribal implications, the agency should follow their own tribal consultation policy, which should be based on the key principles and criteria outlined in this training.
Also, to reemphasize the importance, consultation should occur early in the process when an agency identifies a project, policy, or regulation that has the potential to impact tribal lands, programs, or rights. Avoid conducting consultation late in the decision-making process or after a federal decision has been made. Furthermore, agencies are encouraged to engage in tribal consultation even if they determine a policy or action will not have tribal implications but is of interest to a tribe or tribes.
Well, I'd like to say to federal employees and members of the federal family that are engaged and tasked with tribal consultation to look upon it as establishing a relationship with the tribe. And that takes some time and it takes some effort. And it's an important relationship, and it can really help you in accomplishing your mission. And I think being transparent being a little aggressive on trying to get information from people, I don't think hurts, because there's a lot of demands on tribal leadership and on tribal employees. So sometimes I think that making an extra call or two doesn't hurt, and starting as early as possible. And sometimes it's probably okay to start at the conceptual level and say, hey, we're considering doing this project. Could you give some feedback on this? And that could save everybody a lot of time and money if they did that. So I think that that's an important part of how you move forward. And also getting to know the tribe and understanding a little bit more about them, and being present and having that relationship. Because I think sometimes we come in and the only time I hear from you is when you need something, right? I know everybody hates that, right? It's okay just to call up and say, hey, just checking in, letting you know that I'm, the tribal consultation responsible party, and I might be calling you, go to the intertribal meetings, and you can try to establish that relationship and help out the best you can, knowing that everybody's time is precious.
When a tribal government requests consultation, the agency should respond to the tribe within a reasonable time. Finally, the Presidential Memorandum on Uniform Standards for Tribal Consultation states that agencies must maintain complete and accurate records of the consultation. This record should include a summary of tribal input received, a general explanation of how tribal input influenced or was incorporated into the agency action, and if relevant, the general reasoning for why tribal suggestions were not incorporated into the agency action or why consensus could not be attained. To the extent permitted by applicable law, the agency should also seek to ensure that information designated as sensitive by a tribal nation is not publicly disclosed. Agencies need to obtain advance informed consent from tribal nations for the use of sensitive information provided by the tribe, and should inform tribal leaders that certain federal laws, including the Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA, may require disclosure of such information if shared by the tribe. Each agency is then required to timely provide to the affected tribe or tribes the record of the consultation and decisions made as a result of the consultation.
So many times when we go into consultation, we're asked of what our issues and our problems are and what our needs are, and when we tell them, there's nothing else done. I believe there should be probably once a year or twice a year, maybe every 6 months, an update on these are the things we accomplished that you had issues with. If it was health, maybe they should say, okay, so your health facilities are dilapidated, or your health needs are still lacking. So this is what we've done to improve upon your health needs. This is what we've done to improve upon your living needs, your housing, your education, more scholarships, more ability to go to colleges or trade schools or anything that we have consultation for, because we get into rooms, we talk, and nothing's ever said or done.
In summary, federal agencies play a crucial role in conducting tribal consultations. They must designate at least one point of contact to advise agency staff, identify relevant policies and actions with tribal implications, and ensure accountability through record keeping and reporting. Now you should be able to outline the roles and responsibilities of agencies in conducting tribal consultations. In Module 4, we will identify and describe best practices for preparing, planning, and implementing effective tribal consultations.